Alright, generic fantasy music is in place. Video's probably like 3.5 hours long. You all know what time it is. It's time for kind of an unhinged, wild rant about something lore-related that I give a shit about. Who's ready? Let's go. My favorite character in all of Warhammer is Queek Headtaker. I have actually commissioned a lot of art for him. My profile picture often centers around him. My Steam profile picture is him. I think my YouTube profile is also of him, though that's one of the things I commissioned. So, I clearly like this character a lot. Why? I picked him up in Warhammer 2. I thought he was kind of neat. I thought I liked Skaven a lot, which is fine. And then I picked up a book, The Warlords of Karak 8 Peaks, because I really liked the Karak 8 Peaks story, which I believe the order these videos are going to come out. I already did the quick version of what is Karak 8 Peaks. I like that story, so I picked up this omnibus. The whole omnibus is really, really good. But after I read the book within it called Headtaker, it's about Queek Headtaker, I could not get enough. I love Queek. He's so great. He's so funny as a character. And he's just like really well written, really well designed. So I absolutely love Queek. Let's talk about it. This is a very short version of a lore video. I won't go through every plot point in his entire life, but it is a gist of... This is just a Queek appreciation video based off of his lore. It does not go into the End Times, because I have not read the End Times books yet, but I also heard that... I know how Queek ends up in the End Times. I know what he does, and it sounds stupid as shit, so whatever. I'll get there when I get there. So who's Queek? Queek Headtaker is a Skaven. Now in Skaven society, white furs are Grayseers and mages, so they're very, very prized. But just beneath them in society is black furs. Black furs are meant to be the strongest and best Skaven. Queek is a black fur. He was born as part of Clan Moors. He was in their brood, and he ate all of his littermates, like dozens of them. That's a little unusual. Once in a while, a Skaven will eat like one or two of his broodmates, but not the whole fucking thing. He just went all for it, and he killed it. He killed and ate all of his brothers before he even opened his eyes. Lord Gnawdwell, the ruler of Clan Moors and one of the greatest Skaven generals of all time, saw this, picked up little Queek, and decided to raise him to be his own. So pretty much as close to a father as Skaven society's ever going to get. Lord Gnawdwell hand-raised Queek, giving him the best resources, the best weapons, the best training, the best everything he could get. Right? One of Queek's first assignments as a chieftain for Clan Moors, he had an army group and needed to take out a rival clan stronghold held by Ikit/. Now, Queek did the normal Skaven generally things. He dug holes at every, like, if a burrow is a clock, at every hour position, he dug a hole. So there were 12 holes surrounding this thing, and traditional Skaven tactics means a giant fucking horde of Skaven is going to come through each of those holes at the same time and surround you and overwhelm you. So Ikit/, knowing that, set up his defenses accordingly with 1/12 of his force at each hole. They're going to bog down each hole and make each hole a bottleneck. Well, Queek said, fuck that. Where most Skaven generals lead from the back and hope everything goes well, and if it doesn't, they're safe to scurry away, Queek leads from the front, and he picked one hole in particular, said, my entire army is attacking right here, and he just busted straight through the defenses at that hold, leading the charge himself, going on an absolute frenzy, tearing through everyone. Now, another problem with how Skaven traditionally wage war that Queek does not, is Queek leads from the front with his Storm Vermin, his personal bodyguard. So normally, Skaven assaults are led by Skaven slaves, and you can easily cut all them down, and that provides a nice killing field for the clan rats that follow up. Then you can kill all of them, and then the Storm Vermin will follow up, and now there's so many bodies in their way, usually assaults have broken by now. Queek doesn't play that way, so this ambush was largely of slingers, non-armor-piercing missiles, and, like, spearmen trying to just deter a mass of low-armored, low-morale, bad-weapon Skaven slaves. They were not ready for Queek and his elite, Storm Vermin with heavy armor and shields and stuff to just roll over them. So Queek gets a foothold in the city. Ikit/ is trying to rally his forces from all the other 11 cardinal freaking directions and get them back to here, but by then, Queek's already in the city. There's no choke point to be had. He outnumbers Ikit/ like 4-1. So Queek finds him, tracks him down personally, kills him, and Ikit/ was the first head on Queek's trophy rack. Now, what is that trophy rack? What's the deal with it? Why does he have it? Is it just kind of a gloating thing? Well, yes, it is kind of a gloating thing, but Queek's very strange. Very, very strange. It's not super defined because no one, not even Queek, really knows how it works, but it is a confirmed thing that I'll show you over multiple examples throughout this video. Queek has some weird attachment with the Wind of Shaiish, the Wind of Death. Death Wizards, you know, Spirit Leech, that whole lore. Something's going on there. Because dead bodies talk to him. No one else can hear it. No one sees them move or anything, but they talk to him. And one example that people have pointed out from, like, you know, yesteryear, there's not like a whole book about this, but it's a little off quip, is that one time Queek was leading his army over land, and the one of the heads on his trophy rack said, "Hey, there's a secret burrow to your right." And he just turned. No one else knows why he turned. He just turned, walked confidently over to a hillside, and found one of those dwarven secret entrances to the back parts of their Karaks. So you don't have to go through the front door. And then Queek led his army through the back door and took an entire fortress through a secret entrance that he had no fucking shot of knowing was there. So these heads actually do talk to him. One of them, Morglum Blacktooth, is an orc warlord that used to rule Black Crag before Gorfang Rotgut does in the current day. After Queek had beaten him and killed him in combat, Morglum's head told him where to find Dwarf Gouger, his magical maul. Dwarf Gouger is actually magical. It has enchantments on it, many think to be from the dwarves, though its origin is not entirely known, that lets it shear through armor like butter. It just literally passes straight through armor, no matter how thick it is or what it's made of. So Dwarf Gouger is the perfect armor-piercing maul that Queek uses. He also has the Warp Shard armor, which was just given to him by Lord Gnawdwell. It is, as far as Skaven standards go, some of the best armor you can build, but it is made and painted with Warpstone dust, so when his opponents attack him, they get a burst of paint chips in their face that burns and stings because it's freaking Warpstone. So even if you score a hit on him, if it's a glancing blow, you did more damage to yourself than to him. So Queek's a bit of a problem in melee. As far as dealing with him, other Skaven have issues because Queek never takes bribes, never takes deals, side, hustles, anything like that. He's single-mindedly focused on his task, and it makes it very hard to work with him in a society based around, like, backstabbing and double dealing. He also leads from the front, which is weird. He does kind of use the Brock Sampson approach of cut the head off the snake and the body dies, but he's the head of that snake, and oh boy, he does not think he can die.
Just the same, Doctor. No weapons allowed. I'll have to confiscate it.
Go ahead. Take it from me.
So what Queek will often do is inspire such fear into his armies that they are way more scared of him than they are of you, and then he will lead them into combat, so he's right there watching them if they dare rout. If they don't fight hard enough, he is standing there. He will kill you. So the armies around Queek fight with like a fervor that Skavendom has never seen. Their clan rats and Skaven slaves are more courageous than anybody has ever seen, and that makes him a big fucking problem. Yeah, he's just standing right there. You can kill him. You can kill him. You can stop him right now. Nobody has, but you could try. Another thing about Queek and why Lord Gnawdwell likes him so much, I mentioned this in the Skaven tier list video that probably came out by now, but Queek's generalship isn't actually great. He's okay at it, sometimes just suicidal about it, but his generalship largely comes from that whole standing in the front thing that I keep mentioning. That's actually a pretty big deal. He just does things. He doesn't really think about them. He doesn't connive or struggle or do things for his own gain. He just does things. And that's what Lord Gnawdwell raised him to do. Queek doesn't really seem to want Lord Gnawdwell's position. He just wants to run around and do things. He wants to kill things. And, yeah. That's actually pretty powerful in a Skaven. Because Skaven's biggest problem is getting in their own way. So if you have 100,000 guys and the enemy has 10,000 guys, the most dangerous thing you can do is just send your 10,000 guys at their 100,000 guys at their 10,000 and just fight them. If you just fight them and don't run away, you'll probably win. And that's why Queek's such a successful warlord, is he just doesn't run away. He forces his army to just keep fighting, and they usually win. Gnawdwell will supply him with the weapons, the troop counts, the resources, everything he needs to win the fight, and he knows Queek will go and do it. So Gnawdwell can sit in Skaven Blight and just rest assured that whatever he tells Queek to go do, Queek will do. And Clan Morris has profited greatly from this relationship, making them quite powerful. So, that is Queek. Now, why does he care about Karak 8 Peaks? We did mention it briefly in the Karak 8 Peaks video. But if you hadn't checked that out, the short version is Lord Gnawdwell just needs somewhere to hold Queek. He needs somewhere for Queek to be, that he knows where to find him when he needs something else taken. So he gave Queek the impossible task of rooting out Skarsnik and Belagar Ironhammer from Karak 8 Peaks, and said if he can do so, he can have the largest dwarfhold that ever existed as his personal home. Queek is very excited about this. Queek really has not put together the pieces that he's not going to be able to do it. So whenever Gnawdwell doesn't need him, Queek goes back to Karak 8 Peaks and fights a valiant fight that he's never going to win until a messenger from Lord Gnawdwell says, hey, the boss wants you to actually go do something. Yeah, so that's why he's there. That's why he cares. So that's Queek. That's kind of his brief backstory before the lore really picks up with him. Now, Queek does have a very important second in command that for some reason is not in the Total War Warhammer games, and I am definitely a biased Skaven main, but I need Ska Bloodtail to be in game, and I really want him to have an advanced form of Guardian. Guardian is ability that gives you 15% physical resist when you're near a lord or a hero. I think there should be advanced Guardian or like elite Guardian, and give it to not only Ska. I don't think Ska is, the only one who should have this ability, but I do think there are characters that should have better than average Guardian, like, I don't know, the Green Knight, because the Green Knight shows up when a Bretonnian of certain import is in dire need. I think he should have advanced Guardian, whatever you want to call it. Maybe change it to 15% ward save instead of 15% physical resist, or just up the physical resist to like 20%, 25. Don't know. But Ska, while all of Clan Moors is like, Clan Pestilence is special because they do a whole bunch of Nurgle shit. They make all these diseases and stuff. Clan Eshin is special because they're assassins, right? Clan Scryer is special because they do steampunk stuff. All these things. Clan Moors' superpower is that they are loyal. They are slightly more loyal than other Skaven. If you tell them to betray somebody and you say, do it for $8, most Skaven would say yes. Clan Moors Skaven would be like, make it 10. And that, in Skaven society, is a superpower somehow, which is one of the reasons I fucking love them, because it's such a funny concept, but it kind of makes sense. Anyway, Ska Bloodtail is Clan Moors jacked up to 11. Ska is super loyal to Queek. Like, they're bros. He takes no pleasure in, like, Queek's struggles. He legitimately worries for him. He shows up for Queek at several different times. I will also mention them in the upcoming tale. Ska is great. He and Queek actually have a very friendly back and forth as far as friendly goes for Skaven, but it's actually like, it's really cool. It's kind of heartwarming to watch them hang out. I don't know, they just shit talk like other Skaven that are talking to them. Like at one point a Grayseer named Razzle, we'll get to him in a bit, is being a piece of shit, and Ska and Queek are just joking about if the Horned Rat favored this Grayseer so much, then why does he suck at everything? And they kind of like high five. I don't know, they're just bros, man. I love Ska. He's so good. Ska is also, it's hard to tell because Queek is so, even in his own books, he's really hard to get a read on. But Ska, what we can definitely say is while he's not the battlefield commander, Queek does a lot of that stuff. Off the battlefield, Ska Bloodtail is essentially the second in command for Clan Moors. Because it's ostensibly Queek, but Ska does everything. When Lord Gnawdwell sends a messenger telling Queek to go somewhere, Ska receives him, Ska organizes the forces, Ska receives the money, he takes care of the money, he pays the troops, he buys mercenaries from like Clan Eshin and Clan Squire. Ska does all of the warlording besides the direct fighting and the standing in front. So Ska's actually, he's kind of portrayed as being dumb. And I suppose that's due to his size, so we should talk about his size. But he's not dumb. He's not dumb, I'll say that. Ska's huge. So Queek is big for a Skaven. Queek's big for a Skaven. Ska is huge for a Skaven. Queek comes up to like his chest, and Queek's taller than most. So if Ska was a human, like if we're talking about human stuff here, Queek is like 6'5", right? He's tall, but he's not the tallest thing you've ever seen. Ska is legitimately 8 feet tall. like, if talking about human scale. Because Skaven are weird to get their height because they're always hunched over and shit, but, like, that's how much bigger than anything Ska is. He's almost as big as a rat ogre. He is described as being between a rat ogre and the tallest Skaven besides Ska Bloodtail. He's huge. He's loyal to a fault to Queek. He's very, very brave, which we'll get to. But he's very brave for a Skaven, a decent commander, and his armory is stacked. Because Queek already has Dwarf Gouger, and he's Warp Shard armor. And other than that, he doesn't really care. He has a sword because he's a dual wielder, but the sword isn't special. He keeps losing his sword and just picking up new ones. He doesn't seem to care. And he also really hates a lot of dwarven things. So all the dwarves they kill, Ska keeps looting their Gromril armor and putting it together, and he has made a Frankenstein's mesh of armor for himself. Like 3 dwarven breastplates, like stapled together to cover his huge chest, right? A whole bunch of dwarven arm guards piled up together to get around his gigantic biceps. So he's like this tank. And it's being described as when he takes his armor off, they have to put it in a cart and pull it because no one can carry the damn thing. So the fact that he can even stand up and move, Ska, that is incredible to most Skaven. That's how huge and powerful this guy is. He's a brick wall. And he has a double-bearded dwarven axe that is etched in runes. So he has a rune axe of the dwarves as his weapon. Ska would be a brutal combatant, which is, again, why I'm like, why is this guy in Total War Warhammer? He's badass as hell. He's, like, the second primary character in this story. He has, like, all this unique armor and equipment stuff. He'd make a great legendary hero. I don't know, man. Ska should be in this game. Please release him with the Thankful DLC. Oh, so good. So that's Ska. That's Queek's second in command. We've talked a bit about Queek and Ska, the brothers forever. Queek also trains his own Stormvermin, the last Total War note I will touch on. They're called the Crimson Guard. They show up in the End Times a bit, but they are mentioned in the other books. Ska trains his Stormvermin personally. Which is a weird thing for Skaven. They don't honestly do a lot of training. Like, to become a Stormvermin, you need to be big, and you need to have a set of armor. Boom, you're a Stormvermin. You did it. Queek actually goes through the bother of training them, because most people don't want to train their Stormvermin, because if you're surrounded by a bunch of big, strong, muscly, armored guys, and you think any of them could kill you and take over your clan, you want them to be really bad at fighting. Queek is so self-confident, arrogantly so, that he will train them all to be the best, because he doesn't think any of them could ever be remotely as good as he is at fighting. So he does that. And plus, in the training, if any of them ever scratch him, he will kill them instantly in a violent rage. So the ones that survive are both very skilled in melee combat, but also so loyal to Queek, because he's weeded out all the ones that would even get close to striking him, that they're kind of nuts. They're kind of nuts. This is the vanguard of most of his forces. He's a scary guy. So on to the Headtaker book. Queek gets called out of his docile existence, by comparison, in Karak 8 Peaks, to go to Karak Azul. Sleek Sharpwit is a messenger from Lord Gnawdwell. He was a previous warlord like Queek himself, but Sharpwit was much more intelligent, much less bulky than Queek was. In his extreme old age of, I believe, 12 years old, Sleek can hardly move. He and Gracier Razzle... so Sleek's from Lord Gnawdwell of Clan Moors. Razzle is from the Council of 13. So these two were sent to tell Queek to get his ass over to Karak Azul, because Skaven are getting their ass beat by a bunch of dwarves across the old world, and all of the dwarves have rune axes from Karak Azul. So like, we need to shut down this rune axe nonsense and make these dwarves a little more beatable. Let's get Queek to go do it. Queek originally doesn't want to. He's busy doing his own thing, but, you know, when Razzle and Sleek start throwing around Lord Gnawdwell's name, he's like, fine, I'll get on it, I'll go. In the meantime, he tells Razzle he's a fucking idiot and he hates him, and he tells Sleek that he's an old bitch. And then he walks off confidently, because nothing bad's gonna happen to him. Well, a little too cocksure, a little too gung-ho. Queek does walk alone through some tunnels and comes across a little choke point where there was a cave-in. Definitely a natural, normal thing that happens. Actually, it does, but this one was a little suspicious. Queek didn't really pick up on it. So he takes off his armor, he takes off his trophy heads, making him a much less scary combatant. Actually, wait, no, sorry. Back up. He didn't take off his armor, but he did take off his trophy heads, because he had to squeeze through this little burrow that he could barely fit through with his armor on, and the pauldron couldn't come with. And as he gets to the other side of this thing, Razzle's trap is sprung. So this Grey Seer really doesn't want to follow Queek around. He knows that Queek hates Grey Seers, and he does not particularly like Queek. He thinks Queek's an idiot. So he hired a bunch of Clan Rictus storm vermin to wait on the other side of this thing, and when Queek goes through, because he always leads from the front, they're supposed to knife his ass. Well, they try to. There's 8 storm vermin. Queek gets out. He doesn't have his trophy heads, but he explodes out of this thing because he sees the ambush coming, hops to his feet immediately, and it's 1v8. Without his trophy heads, he's a much less scary combatant, but he's still doing okay versus 8 storm vermin, and by the time he gets down to 1 left, he's turning, he has killed the other 7, and that 1 is coming at him with a knife. He's a little too slow on the turn, and Ska bursts out of that tiny hole because Ska was delayed. He had to take off all that giant armor to even fit into this tiny hole, and even then, he shreds his arms going through there. But in that loyalty I was talking about, man, they're so cool. Anyway, in that loyalty I was talking about, Ska sees Queek's about to die, and if Queek dies, Ska gets command of this entire army. And Ska's reaction is, no, don't kill him! So anyway, he flies out of this hole, dives in front of Queek, knocking Queek to the side, and he takes the knife in the chest, because it was aiming for Queek's neck, and that's around Ska's, pectoral muscle. So he takes this knife in the chest, falls down, can't breathe, he's dying. Now, the paragraph in the Headtaker book about Queek's reaction to Ska dying in front of him gives me chills. It gives me chills how well the author writes about his rage. But Queek is completely irate. Like, he grips his weapon so hard that his fingers are, his claws are digging into the other side. Like, squeeze your hand around an imaginary thing. You know where your fingers meet your palm? That part of his palm is impaled by all of his fingers, and his fingers are bleeding wherever he's touching the weapon because he's gripping it so hard that he's ripping his own skin off. That's how enraged he is. He wasn't just like, oh, my second command died, that's what they're for. He is enraged, and I just love it, because the Skaven don't give a shit about anybody, but he really cares about Ska, and he runs this fucking guy down and tears him apart. Just tears him apart, but he barely keeps him alive. So then Queek drags this fucking guy with him because he thinks Ska's dead. And for all we know, Ska is dead. He drags this guy to the next city, I already forgot what it's called. The city under Karak Azul. Drags him there. Finds a house. It belonged to the Warlock engineer who was previously in charge of this place. Cleans it out, throws his prisoner in there who's barely alive, and he's like, don't bother me for a bit. Shuts the door. The rest of Queek's army catches up, Sleek, Sharpwit, and Razzle show up. Razzle immediately goes into hiding because his ambush to kill Queek did not work at all. And when Sleek Sharpwit finds Queek, he finds that Queek has... So YouTube doesn't demonetize me too much. Let's just say, you'll have to read the book to get the full description, but Queek shredded this guy. You know the Game of Thrones, the flayed man thing? It's like that times 11. And he somehow kept this guy alive. So then Sleek talks to Queek and he says, he's just talking about some military stuff and trying to ignore the almost dead body in the room. And this other attendant comes in and he's like this big storm vermin. And Sleek's like, who's this guy? This is New Ska. What? You can't just name him New Ska. That doesn't make him New Ska. And Queek's like, it's New Ska. And that Skaven is like mouthing, like, this is literally happening. The book's like mouthing, help me. And Sleek's like, you're on your own, bud. So Queek's very upset that Ska's gone. And Sleek's like, well, I got good news for you. Ska's alive. And one of the council guard is guarding him. One of Razzle's council guard. And because Sleek needs this operation to go well, he lies and says Razzle saved Ska, when actually Sleek saved Ska. So Razzle, so I know it's confusing. In the book, it's not confusing, but like when I'm just rambling at you, it is. Razzle the Grey Seer wanted to take the army from Queek. So he set up an ambush for Queek. It didn't kill Queek, it killed Ska. Sleek Sharpwit is from Lord Gnawdwell. He just needs this operation to go off without a hitch. So he knows Razzle tried to kill Queek. He knows that failed. So what he says to Queek is, Razzle found Ska, was concerned about his safety, healed him because he used his magic and stuff to heal him, and he just wants, like, Queek to be happy. When actually Sleek found him and was like, ah, fuck, and fixed him as best he could. So then, Queek goes to go find that. He's very, very excited. He just runs out of the room. And while Sleek is left alone, he goes back to Clan Rictus Assassin, and he's like, I need you to not tell Queek who killed you, who sent you to kill him. And you probably already have, but just in case. He stabs that guy's heart just to make sure that he finally dies, and also it's a little bit of a mercy killing. And he starts to leave, and he gets a weird feeling about the skulls that are watching him, because Queek's new home is just covered in skulls, and he thinks that's strange. He walks away. Now, later in the book it comes up, but it doesn't come up at a worthwhile time to keep you in suspense. Queek later comes back and talks to those skulls, and the skulls tell him what Sleek had said to the guy. So, like, Queek knows that Sleek killed his prisoner, but that Sleek didn't order him killed. He knows Razzle ordered him to be killed. And, like, that is the amount of information Queek is able to get from dead bodies. Right? It's not like, Queek suspects Sleek Sharpwit killed this guy because Sleek was the last one in the room with him. No, Queek knows for a fact that Sleek killed him, but Sleek was killing him to protect Razzle. Like, he just knows it. He can talk to the dead bodies. I don't know how. No one knows how, but he can, and the information's always accurate. It's not just a guess. Anyway. So, Sleek goes to find Razzle, finds him, the Greyseer, and he has 2 council guards. One's with him, the other one's guarding Scar's body. Razzle is talking with Sleek for a bit, and they find out the information that King Cazador of Karak Azul is leaving, which is great. He's taking the Dwarven army to go fight the dwarves, the Greenskins of Black Crag, because Cazador amassed a bit of a throng. He's going to go do some raiding on some Greenskins to help out Belgar a little bit, but also get his own vengeance for his own reasons. They think this is great news, and they're about to go tell Queek, when Queek shows up with the head of the Council Guard. And he says, this guy was spying on Ska, which, yeah, Queek's insane. We fucking get that. He wasn't spying on Ska, but he has the head. And something very important is about to happen. The Council Guard are all mute. They can't talk. Their tongues are cut out from their birth. They can't talk. And Queek's like, this one told me where to find you. And Razzle's like, that's insane. And he's like, nope. This one told me where to find you, and this is his name. And Razzle's like, holy shit, how do you know his name? Queek's like, you're not paying attention. He told me his name. And it's just, he can talk to the dead heads. I don't know how many times I have to give you this example. Like, he killed this guard, and the guard would know where Razzle was hiding, and he talks to the dead head. He's just like, where's Razzle hiding? And just goes and finds him. He can do it. It's not, I don't know. I see some people theorize that it's like, oh, Queek's just paranoid, and he pretends he can talk. No, like, he can talk to them. He's always right. Anyway. So, Razzle, to also try and save his own life, is like, hey, man, yeah, I totally fixed Ska. That was me doing that, and my guys weren't spying on him, they were guarding on him, and if you need any more proof of my goodwill, here's this news that we just talked about. King Cazador is leaving Karak Azul with his whole army, so actually we're going to be able to take it super easily tomorrow. And Queek freaks the fuck out, and it's hilarious, and I love Queek, because he's like, no! If the army leaves, I don't have a fight! So he runs away quickly, with the council guard's head still. He runs away, go up the stairs, he goes up to Karak Azul. And he throws the council guard's head at him with a note. And the dwarf sees it, and he goes over to check it out. More specifically, and this is real, he sees Queek Headtaker waving at him. Literally, he goes, hey! Hey! And then when a dwarf sees him, he throws the head and leaves. The head has a note on it. The head says, the Queek Headtaker has come. Meet me in the 6th Deep at dawn. The 6th Deep is like the 6th level down on Dwarven Fortress. So Queek was so worried that Cazador and his army were gonna leave, that he he fucking told them, hey, I'm here, don't go anywhere, I'll see you at noon, bitch. It's awesome. He's awesome. This was definitely overconfident. This was definitely arrogant. I am not going to pretend that this was good generalship, but trust me, it gets better. So Queek wants to beat up King Cazador. He wants to add his head to the trophy racks. He thinks he'll be a good advisor. He does attack at dawn. Queek, the warlock engineer we mentioned earlier that Queek stole his house, is supposed to lead a team of Jezzails up onto a cliff and fire down. Meanwhile, Queek and his rat ogres and clan rats and skaven slaves and storm vermin will charge straight at the Six Deep, and they'll overrun this place. Now, Queek is way too overconfident, and Ska isn't here. Ska's still injured. So Queek just runs straight in there, and immediately things go to shit when a cannonball fired from the Dwarven lines hits Queek's column and knocks him over. I think it briefly knocks him out. It takes him a while to come to. But this is a huge problem. So without Ska, without Queek, immediately everything goes to shit, because Queek doesn't have a great plan, but his usual plan, as we've established, is run the fuck in there, pick a spot, fight in that spot, fight the biggest and the baddest enemy guy you can, and as long as you're there, the Skaven won't rout, and they'll keep fighting. Well, Queek's not there, so the Skaven fall back to normal Skaven tactics, which do not work. Skaven slaves are going in first. They're dying in the droves. Clan rats are trying to go in second, as they normally do, but now they're tripping over all the dead Skaven slaves, and they themselves are still not that organized. The Crimson Guard of Queek are not very focused. They're not really in the fight where they need to be. They're kind of trepidatiously on the outside looking for Queek, waiting to find Queek, because they know they're supposed to be with him, but they don't know that he got his ass knocked out by a cannonball right away, so they can't find him. Everything is in complete shit. Razil the Greyseer was so pissed off at Queek just for being Queek that he didn't show up, so there's no magic support, there's no general right now. We just have some Jezzails shooting. That's really the only thing going well at all. And the cannons, after bodying Queek, realize they're getting sniped by Jezzails. They turn on the Jezzails. So the Jezzails are pushed back, all the infantry are milling about. It's terrible. So a minor character that doesn't really matter that much, Fang Dao, he's a Clanish and assassin. Sleek Sharpwit goes up to him and says, hey, this whole battle's going to shit, come with me. Sleek Sharpwit sneaks around to Fang Dao to get up to the Karak Azul cannon lines. He and his assassins kill all the cannons, and without the cannons, the Skaven assault stands a little bit more of a chance, but it overall falters. Even after Queek regains consciousness, the battle is too far gone. He does charge in there, he does kill some Dwarven characters from the book, but it's way too late. The Crimson Guard are still scattered because his banner entered the fight way too late, and he sees his army routing and heads back to the Undercity with them, right? So then the book takes a real turn here, and I like it a lot on second reading. I read it again for this video. On second reading, I like this a lot because it shows that, like, without being obvious, it doesn't tell the reader Queek gets serious, but it shows him getting serious. It's a show don't tell moment, so it shows him getting serious. Because all of a sudden, Queek's really different. And I didn't realize that the first reading. He gets a ton more serious. So instead of attacking Cazador straight on the next day or anything like that, his immediate thing is find a scapegoat. Because Queek doesn't lose. So he fucked up this fight. He realizes that he needs to find a scapegoat. And he says, where's Queek the Warlock Engineer? Why didn't the Jezzails take out the cannons at the start of the fight? Now, you and I know the Jezzails didn't take out the cannons at the start of the fight because Queek just charged straight the fuck in there. But Queek just pretends that it's all of his fault, blames it on him, and then the army's like, yeah, where is it? So then a lot of his chieftains go looking for Queek to, blame the traitor and whatever. And meanwhile, Queek comes up with a new plan and talks to Razil and Sleek about Cazador was going to go fight Black Crag anyway. He's going to lose. Black Crag's too well defended, there's too many orcs there, and Skarsnik is nearby to offer support if he needs it. So it's not going to work. And Queek needs it to work, for reasons he doesn't really explain right now, but he wants to bait Cazador to go fight Gorfang Rotgut and not give up the fight as soon as he fails, and this will stop Gorfang from giving aid to Skarsnik. And Karak Azul won't send army weapons anywhere if they need the weapons for their armies fighting Black Crag, and if their smiths are busy fighting in the war, right? So you'll have less smiths, and the items you're making will actually be going to your army instead of the enemy's armies, right? Cool. So that's his plan. Queek now makes a plan where he's like, we got to get Cazador to go fight Gorfang permanently. So Queek takes the rest of his army that's left and heads over to Black Crag. Now you might be like, well, Cazador, wasn't he mounting up to go to Black Crag anyway to fulfill a grudge? Yeah, but he was going to go attack him for like one specific thing. And he's just not going to win. Black Crag's way too big. So Queek takes the remnants of his army and he chucks it at the front door of Black Crag like an idiot. Because even the Greenskins can see he doesn't have enough men to do that. So instead of staying in Black Crag, they wander out into the open field to beat his ass. So Queek is baiting them out of Black Crag so that when the dwarves show up, they're not in their big orc citadel. They're out on the open field where the dwarven guns can do a lot more work and thunderers and stuff can have better shots. It evens the odds quite a lot. Queek then shows a lot more cunning than he has the rest. He tasks Ska, who's now healed up, because Ska built his own Gromril armor that he stapled together, I mentioned earlier. He says, go to Fizzquick's laboratory. That fucking idiot melted down a lot of my army's weapons to make a doom wheel on the way here. Take the warp lightning cannon stabilizer out. So whenever he tries to fire the warp lightning cannon on the doom wheel, it's going to explode and get him killed. Ska does that. And then he also says, Ska, lead the section of the army Razzle is in, the Grey Seer. Make sure he fucking dies. And then he goes to Fang Dao, that assassin from earlier, and says, you know, I'm the leader of this. Clan Moors hired you. You're going to do what I tell you to do. Go up to this tower, this overview tower, and anybody who comes up there, murder the shit out of him. And then he goes over to Sleek Sharpwit, the older Gnawdwell advisor, and just says, hey, Sleek, I know of a cool tower where you can stand up and you can tell our army where we need to go and flank and stuff. You can use all these flags. So yeah, go up in that tower and be on lookout. Queek doesn't really like the Clan Eshin assassin, so he's like, either Sleek Sharpwit's gonna die or Fang Dao will. I don't care. Either's fine. Fizzquick's gonna die. Razzle's gonna die, and that'll leave me in sole control of this army. The army I don't even want. So then Ska and I are gonna fuck on out of here. The army will lure Black Crag out. And all the people who have annoyed me in this campaign will die. Karak Azul will stop sending weapons around. Plan accomplished. Then things get a little complicated because he remembers he wants to go kill Gorfang Rotgut and put his head on the spike too, because he can't have Cazador. He can at least get Gorfang's head. That would be nice. So he's like, okay, maybe if I see Gorfang, I'll go kick his ass. Plan goes a bit awry when it turns out Black Crag has a giant, which is a huge problem. So then Ska, again showing his amazing bravery, sees a giant enter the field, all of his clan rats are routing, and Razzle gets away from him, and he's like, oh crap, well, Queek needs me to hold this army here until the dwarves arrive. So Ska personally leads a charge, bullying his clan rats and Stormvermin back into the fight with a giant. He charges a giant. Ska Bloodtail charges a goddamn giant. He's such a badass. He's such a badass. Anyway, luckily for everybody, Fizzquick rides up with his doom wheel. He slams it into the back of the giant's legs, and he wants to fire the warp lightning cannon at point blank range. Well, we all know what I said about the warp lightning cannon, so it blows up. So he turns into a kamikaze. Fizzquick and the giant both die at the same time. Ska, now that this area has been secured, has a second assignment. He needs to kill Razzle. That was kind of a key part of this, so he goes to find him. Sleek Sharpwit defeated Fang Dao in the tower. So Sleek and Razzle are both still alive. They regroup, and they're finding a way into Karak Azul for reasons I haven't explained because they don't relate to Queek, and I'm just talking about Queek. I'm not going through the whole book. The book has like a dwarf and a human subplot, like a B and a C plot, that I haven't talked about at all, and I'm not going to here. But for reasons of that B and C plot, Razzle and Sleek had agreed to sneak into Black Crag for reasons. So they meet up there, and Sleek's like, Queek tried to kill me, he's probably trying to kill you. And Razzle goes, that's insane, no one tried to kill me. And then Ska shows up, and Sleek's like, hey Razzle, for a C-plot thing in the book, did you do what I told you to do? No, I fucked that up entirely. Sleek's done with it. He is absolutely sick of carrying Razzle through all these things. And he's like, that's it. Ska, do what Queek told you to do to Razzle. And it's a gamble, because he's like, I bet Queek told Ska to kill Razzle, that's why he's here. I don't know it, but I think it is. And Ska's like, what do you mean that? And Sleek's like, please, Ska, I'm from Lord Gnawdwell. Queek trusts me. He told me about the plan. I know about the plan. And Ska goes, all right. Barehanded, Ska walks up to a council guard, and the council guard tries to fight him. Like, council guard are like super elite fighters. And Ska, barehanded, just takes his halberd, breaks it in half, and then takes the council guard, shoves him into the ceiling that's like rock. Like, breaks some of the rock, absolutely pulverizing the council guard's skull, and then drops him, walks over to Razzle, who's trying to conjure a spell, and just like picks up and choke slams him. Ska's a fucking badass! Why isn't he in the game? I love Ska! Anyway, Sleek Sharpwit says, nah, don't finish him off, I'll deal with it. And he cuts off his legs and says, crawl like the worm you are, and they both leave to go do the C-plot thing. Now, Queek shows up here because he saw Razzle, Sleek, and Ska all go into the same place. He wants to make sure that Ska did his job. So, when he finds Razzle on the ground, still alive, he's like, huh, that's a little strange. And Razzle tells him, trying to get him to turn against Ska and Sleek, he tells him that those guys are traitors, and further on, and Queek goes, sure, boss. Anyway, I won't bother killing you because crawl like the worm you are. And Razzle's like, why do you all keep saying that? Anyway, Queek walks in. Doesn't matter, C-plot things, but then this is just very, very funny to me. So Ska and Sleek end up just inside Black Crag. They're looking down on this bridge where the Skaven army, part of it has pushed into Black Crag and is finishing to flush the Greenskins out. The Greenskin army is also pushing onto this bridge. So they're both fighting on this bridge. Now, it's pretty loose about how the fuck the Skaven army got here if they're losing so badly outside. It's honestly a bit of a plot hole, but fine. Gorfang Rotgut and his elite troop of Black Orcs are coming, and Queek's fighting on the bridge. So Ska sees Queek, and Queek doesn't know Gorfang's coming, and Ska's like, oh shit. And again, Ska's a fucking badass, but also, he's so loyal. He runs, and he's trying to get to Queek. So he gets down from this building, he's running to the bridge, and he realizes he's not going to make it in time, because Gorfang and his Black Orcs are like coming in at an opposite angle, so they're both going to get to the bridge at the same time. And he's like, fuck it. And he hypes himself up. He does this little talk to himself that's so funny, man. All of the Skaven books have a little bit of humor in them that I just love. I mean, the Greyseer, the Thankful and Bone Ripper omnibus have a ton of humor, but like, Queek, Headtaker has a little. Anyway, Ska hypes himself. He's like, you can do this. You're the shit. You're the best. You're Queek's biggest, bestest boy. You're so badass. And he charges at Gorfang. And Gorfang, his weapon in this fight, because he keeps switching weapons. I think he has like Red Eye. I think Red Eye is his sword. I don't actually know his sword, but he doesn't have it here for some reason. He has broken the leg off of a dwarven statue. That's just using it as a club. So Ska is charging alone versus Gorfang and like 10 Black Orcs. And Gorfang doesn't even really register that it's happening, and he just hits Ska with the leg and knocks him unconscious and sends him sprawling. So Gorfang's a bit of a problem. Now, I will say, I sometimes mention this on stream, and people need to get perspective. Being a really good Skaven fighter, like Ska and Queek are amazing Skaven fighters, doesn't mean shit compared to actual fighting races fighters. Grimgor, Gorfang would body the shit out of Queek and Ska. Like, Tyrion and Malekith would body the shit out of Queek and Ska. It wouldn't even be close. Karl Franz probably would beat Queek and Ska. Like, the Queek and Ska are good Skaven fighters. They don't compare to these other guys, and I love that the books don't pretend they do. So Gorfang Rotgut, another character that should be in Total War, and he isn't yet, because he's badass for a ton of different reasons. But all you need to know about Gorfang, for the sake of this plot, is he's a huge orc that's very strong. He rules Black Crag, and he supports Skarsnik by sending over orcs whenever Skarsnik is in danger of actually flat out losing. Gorfang does not want the Skaven to have Karak Peaks, which is across Blackfire Pass from him. He needs Blackfire Pass to stay stable. So human merchants from the Border Princes go through there on their way to go over to Cathay and do some trading. And Gorfang, very strangely for a greenskin, has a good mind for finance. He says, I can raid this caravan and break down this caravan and get money once. But then people will know that this pass is dangerous. Where instead, I can let every caravan go past, but I can tax each and every one. I can say, we'll make sure you don't get murdered if you give us 10% of your wares. So Gorfang is getting hugely rich. He likes having Skarsnik across from him, because if any other greenskins over there, they're going to be like, raw murder, and kill all the caravans. And that would ruin Gorfang's business. So he would have to go kill that guy. He doesn't want to have to go kill that guy. He likes where he is. Skarsnik is crafty. And Skarsnik understands that if you don't fuck with what Gorfang's doing, Gorfang will leave you alone. So Skarsnik leaves him alone. So whenever Skarsnik's about to lose to Queek or lose to Belagar or anything like that, Gorfang walks over there with an army, sets things back to even, and then leaves. So Skarsnik likes Gorfang being there as his backup. Gorfang likes Skarsnik because Skarsnik's not an idiot. So that's why Gorfang's important and he's cool, but also he is huge and he has a ton of armor and none of it is crafted. He just keeps slapping armor on top of armor to make himself into a walking mountain. So this walking mountain goes up to Queek and he's like, what's all this about fighting? And Queek's like, you're Gorfang Rotgut. I want your head on this pike. I'm gonna get you. Yeah! And Queek lands a free blow on him. Gorfang's totally dead. Queek goes up from the bottom, hits him in his thigh, so he's going for that big artery in your thigh, because Gorfang's quite a bit taller than him. Gorfang's fucking huge. So Queek can't reach like his head or anything, so he's going for that big vein or artery that's in your leg. Look it up. I'm not a biologist. And he sinks Dwarf Gouger all the way in, and Gorfang's fucked. GG. Easy fight. Queek wins. Hell yeah. Gorfang Rotgut is dead. 100% dead. No way of winning. Except huge problem. Queek buries Dwarf Gouger to the hilt. And if you look at Dwarf Gouger, that is not a small spike. He buries it to the hilt into Gorfang's thigh, and he didn't touch skin. And he's like, ah. And Gorfang goes, yeah. And Queek goes, ah. How much are you wearing, man? And Gorfang's like, a lot. And hits him with the club. He gets the Ska treatment. So Queek goes fucking flying. And he lands in a pile of storm vermin. He went across the entire bridge, so he's super dazed. And he stands up, he's like, okay. Wipes blood from his mouth. You got me on round 1. Round 2, I'm coming for that ass. And he takes like 2 steps, and an arm hits him on, like a hand claps onto his shoulder. And Queek stuns, he's like, what the fuck? And he looks over and there's a dwarf there. Now part of the B plot is Prince Kazarik, not One Eye, but Kazarik, like, it's a different Kazarik. Prince Kazarik of Karak Azul, King Cazador's son, he took the Slayer Oath. Reasons, we're not going to get into it. But so this is a Slayer, and he's the Prince of Karak Azul, and he's like, hey, part of the B plot got me to this point here at this point in time, so I can kill Gorfang Rotgut for plot B reasons that have nothing to do with Queek Headtaker, so they're not a part of this video. I'm going to need you to take a seat. And Queek's like, the fuck are you talking about? You're a dwarf. What? You dare? Do you know who I am? I'm Queek Headtaker. So Queek tries to cut his head off, and this guy just casually, like, dips back as the sword misses him, and then he sucker punches Queek so hard that Queek sprawls against the bridge side and goes unconscious, like coughing up blood. So Queek got double-bodied by a dwarf combatant and a greenskin combatant. I love Skaven, but there's a reason they usually outnumber you 10-1 before taking a fight. Like, Queek's getting his ass handed to him, and I'm here for it. It's awesome. I love it that this book takes a main character and it's like, nah, I'm not gonna pretend they're better than they are. They're as good as they are. Queek's sick. Queek's great in his own right, but he can't stand up to these guys. So everything goes to shit. A little bit. That was kind of funny. But Queek and Ska scurry away, because it technically wasn't even their plan to beat Gorfang Rotgut. It was just Queek's pride, and he really wanted that guy's head. But realizing they've lost, Queek gathers up Ska, and they both just hightail it the fuck out of there. They run into Sleek Sharpwit and the C-Plot crew off in the distance, and they all get their shit together. Queek turns around, and he's like, alright, the Dwarven army showed up. Black Crag outnumbers them, but they're in the open field, so the dwarves are doing okay. I need neither side can win. This needs to be a long, drawn-out conflict, and it looks like it will be. Gorfang will be fine. Skarsnik's not going to get any reinforcements from the orcs for a while because Gorfang's going to be busy. The dwarves in general, but also Belgar Ironhammer, won't get any more troops or supplies from Karak Azul. Nor Lord Gnawdwell won't be mad at me, so I have weakened all of my enemies in Karak 8 Peaks. I have pleased my boss. I am great. And all of my enemies are dead, except for that one. Then he points at Sleek. And Sleek's like, nah, it's not me. Ska Bloodtail betrayed you. That's why we were working together. And Ska's like, dude, I didn't do it. You know that. Come on. Queek, buddy, don't be that way. You know I didn't do it. Queek's like, shut up. I talked to the skulls. They said you're fine. The skulls I left in my house know what Sleek did. They know you have nothing to do with it. And Ska's like, oh, fuck yeah. So then Queek 1v1 Sleek. Sleek eats a bunch of warp stones, so he becomes a mega badass for like 10 minutes. And they have this crazy fight. And Queek's able to keep up with this guy who's just super high on warp stones. So he's fueled with like kryptonite, Super Saiyan power energy. And even he can't keep up with, like, he can't beat Queek. And then when it wears off, Queek just wore him down. So when the drug wears off, Sleek's just completely tapped out and Queek bodies him pretty easily. Puts his head on the rack to replace one that broke during all the fighting. And now he has the advisor's Sleek Sharpwit to add to his collection. And that's the end of that book. So, yeah. It's a really good book. And if you want to read it, I didn't spoil that much for you. I only talked about the parts where Queek's in the book. I didn't talk about a lot of what Sleek Sharpwit was doing. I didn't talk about a lot of what Razzle was doing. There's, like I said, there's an entire B and C plot I didn't really talk about. I didn't talk about any of the Dwarven perspectives in the book, so it's still a really good book. And if you want to read it, you should go read it. But I hope I illustrated for you why I just love this character so much. The way he was written in the book that I experienced him through, and the way he's portrayed in Total War. The way he's portrayed in Total War could use a little bit of work, but I did like him. I liked him. He's a badass. His army abilities tend to buff up Storm Vermin, kind of a nod to his lore that he made Storm Vermin really good. So there's two changes I would like to see to Queek. I mean, like, okay, add Thankful, add Ska, yada yada. Cool, done. In Total War Warhammer, I would like, for a Regiment of Renown, Storm Vermin Sword and Shield to be added to the game. Give them Frenzy, and that's about it. Honestly, just give them Frenzy. You can maybe give them the Courage aura to be like the Broken Tusk mob or Boy Bacons. You can give them maybe the Encourage aura, but I would just do... It's Storm Vermin with better stats and Frenzy. Done. Crimson Guard. It's simple. Like, not every Regiment of Renown has to be crazy complicated. So I think that would be fine. As for Queek, Queek suffers from a problem that we've talked about a lot. So this is the end of the lore part and just like serious discussion. Queek sucks in multiplayer, and people know that. And he suffers from a problem of being a Foot Lord who only wants to duel other Foot Lords, but has no agency in doing that. So your opponent has two situations. One, you are not a Foot Lord, so you can beat Queek's ass, because all of his bonuses are like bonus versus infantry and stuff. Or two, you are a Foot Lord, and you can just walk away from him. Okay. Queek doesn't have a net like Snitch does, and I don't think he should, but he has no way of prompting you to fight him. And I've been highlighting through this whole video, there's a key aspect to Queek that Total War doesn't address, and I feel like it would actually fix him and get the dual aspect they want out of him. And that is the lead from the front thing. Queek should have an area of effect bonus. I would argue two different things. He should have an area of effect bonus that's just like a really good stat buff. So if you want to ignore him, he'll just start murdering all your guys, and you need to take him out if you don't want, to lose. Like maybe, I'm just spitballing. These aren't, like, if you really sit and think about them, you could probably pick these apart, but like maybe like Unbreakable around him or something. Or like around him grant Frenzy and serious leadership buffs, or around him grant weapon strength buffs, like things like that, like where it's, because it has to be impactful. It has to be like, oh, +5 melee attack. Oh wow, I better go stop him. Like, no, you're supposed to be pressured into stopping him from just running around doing his thing. And that's why I actually think Idea 2 would be better, and it fits a lot better in Warhammer 3. Warhammer 3 introduced a lot of mechanics that scale with the amount of kills you get. Usually they don't work out because they set the scale way too high. So like for Scarbrand to get his, he can get up to 100% more weapon strength, I think, based off of killing stuff. But in a normal multiplayer battle, you're going to get to like 12% charge by the end because it's so hard to get all those kills. So I think the kills increasing intensity stuff could be good if they just lowered the threshold by a lot. And I think Queek could use a rework to have an ability like that. So give him, my proposal would be a global ability that starts at 0 leadership and 0 melee attack. And then for every kill Queek gets, scaling to whatever, right? Scaling however you want to do the kills. For more kills Queek gets, it scales up to, like, let's say max global 10 leadership and 10 melee attack, as long as Queek's leadership is holding. And the point would be like, you could even do it like, I just thought of this. You could do it like Lewin's healing, where Lewin's healing works. It's a single use, but it stops when he breaks. If he ever routes, the Lady's Blessing goes away, and he doesn't get to heal anymore. You could do that Queek's global buff. So if he ever routes, the fear is gone, and his army isn't like as jacked anymore because they saw Queek run away. But until he breaks, every kill he gets is jacking up the leadership and melee attack for your whole army globally up to, like, let's say like 8 leadership, 8 melee attack, something like that. But it's just this like thing. You're trying to weigh, okay, can I do enough shock damage in the early game that I don't need to go fight Queek? Maybe I could just kill a lot of his army, and then his global buff won't matter as much because by the time he stacks it up, we'll have like, most of his army dead. So it's like, yeah, Queek gets plus 8 melee attack and leadership, but he's all alone, so who gives a shit, right? You could do something like that. I would really like it, and then it makes you really weigh those options, because if you don't think you can burst down the Skaven well enough, then you need to snipe out Queek before he gets ramped up, and you need to kind of go in for him right away. Because if you leave it to the last second, then the Skaven army you're dealing with is going to have more melee attack and leadership. I also think this could promote a little bit of diversity in the Skaven playstyle, because I love Skaven, and I'm having a ton of fun on them, but they really favor my playstyle right now, which is defensive shooting. Their kiting needs some work, and their rush needs some work, and I think Queek could be a good rush lord with this, because, if you're caring about melee attack and leadership, you probably don't want a ton of Poison Wind Globes and Giselles and Warp Lightning Cannons. You probably want a lot of Plague Monks, Storm Vermin, Rat Ogres, Wolf Rats, Clan Rats that you're giving all these stats to, because melee stats are useless on range stuff. So I think it could both promote a different style of Skaven play that is currently lacking in multiplayer, and I think it could make Queek viable, which he is not. So, that would be my take on it. I don't think he is terribly executed in Total War. Not at all. I just think in multiplayer, the concept of having a foot duelist lord is not particularly good. Because Sigvald works because he's cheaper than Queek and he has his own self-healing. That's the only other foot duelist sword that really exists right now. I guess Vlad von Karstein technically works. You never see vampires take him, but yes, he also is about as expensive as Queek. He's a caster, and he has his own healing. So he fulfills all those roles. While Queek is, like, just a combat lord. Hazel! Stop being mad at the neighbors. So Queek's just a combat lord, meaning if you take him, you also have to take a healer. Not a healer, sorry. A mage. Dog distracted me at the end of the video. Anyway, I hope this was as fun for you as it was for me. I got to revisit my favorite story and remember all over again why I love Queek so much. He's my favorite character. All right. Oh, goodbye. Roar. Subscribe. Yes, yes.